scrap yarn as I think people imagine that I would have. I've had people over since I started TikTok and YouTube. I've had people asking me about, oh, traditional granny squares. I love those. I love a classic. Love it. I've had people ask about my yarn stash, and you know, I can't even imagine how much yarn you have. And the thing is, as I actually donate, if I do end up with too much of a stash, I'll donate it. So I'll go to my local buy nothing groups on Facebook and give some of that yarn out. But typically what it is it's yarn that I bought that I hate, maybe, or you know, there's this one time I found this gorgeous yarn at a Goodwill, and it was all these brand new skeins of yarn, gorgeous yarn, but there wasn't enough to make a blanket with, and I couldn't find any other yarn similar to it, like the same feel. I don't know. So it was a really pretty yarn. I didn't want to mix it with a different yarn type. I couldn't find any more yarn by that same company, and now I don't remember the company name. So, and there wasn't enough to make a blanket. And if you know me at all, you know that is what I do. I make blankets. I don't make anything else besides sweaters that are that are made out of giant squares, cocoon sweaters. So I just make a giant square, fold it in half, sew up the sides, and I actually finished one recently. So when that is, I made a video, I just have to edit it. The editing is my hardest part. So it's sitting in my drafts. It'll go out soon. And then you guys can see how I make these sweaters out of a giant square. So, all right, let me do a count real quick. I'm supposed to have 130 white. I just want to make sure that that's correct before I finish off this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 50. 2, 3, 4, 60. 70. 2, 3, 4, 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. Perfect. That's another thing I love about tapestry. If you've not done it, and if you're planning on trying it, is if you're good at not dropping stitches, which is something I'm really good at, and it's, you know, from having done this for years and years, I don't really ever drop stitches. I've not had to count on patterns until I started doing like the floral fantasia, like those really complicated patterns. But on basic patterns and stuff like that, I've not counted in years because I just don't drop stitches. I've not had a problem with that, which is nice for me. And that's just a thing that comes with time. So, but with a tapestry, one thing that I found is when you are joining stitches or joining colors, let's see if I can, I don't know if you can see right here where there's the top of the green and the top of the white stitch here. When I go from green to white, especially when I'm first pulling in a new string of the white, if I pull too tightly on either the green or the white, I could end up pulling one of my stitches really small and basically disappearing it. I don't know how else to describe it. Anytime that I've been off while working on a tapestry blanket, the problem has 100% of the time been because I joined some yarn somewhere, I pulled it too tight, and so basically one of the stitches disappeared on me. So that's usually what'll happen for me on tapestry. So that's why I'll stop and count every once in a while, especially when I am joining. Oops. Here we go. I'm gonna destroy everything. All right, so flip this girl over, and now my yarn that was on the far left now gets moved over to the far right. The yarn that was in the middle gets moved over like that, and basically just rearrange all the yarn so that what used to be in the back of the row is now in the front of the row, and what used to be in the front of the row is now in the back of the row. And if you do that and you pick it up one basket at a time, you'll probably be able to eliminate some of the problems with yarn tangling. Thank you, little bird. Oh, And you're here. I'm at work, almost time to go home. Just popping in to say hi. Hey, see you Wednesday. And have a good drive home. Safe drive home, too. All right, so I'm going to get my empty basket. This is my working yarn basket. Oh, and it needs to go at the far right-hand side because I'm starting with my green. So I'm going to pick up the color I'm working on and throw that in my working basket. While I do that, I'm also making sure it's not tangled up with anything else because these little yarn balls will get tangled everywhere. I had to pull this out today, this project out, and lay it on the floor to take like a little progress video. And doing that is always so scary because it does end up jacking up your yarn so much. You just got to move everything very carefully. All right, so I need to actually finish marking off, highlighting the sheet I'm working on. So I'm working off the written instructions. And I like to highlight each row as I finish. In fact, as the rows get bigger and bigger and have more and more color changes, I'll actually highlight individual lines or individual colors as I finish them too. So that's another trick that I have, is just kind of marking things off. I've seen people work off of their computer, like they have their laptop or iPad in front of them, and you're able to follow along on some of the patterns by marking off the actual stitches. But thank you, little bird. I'm so glad you're able to stop in for a second, and you'll be back Wednesday. That's awesome. Okay, so I have to do 10 green. All of my rounds are going to begin and end with 10 green. I like to add a border when I'm designing a tapestry. I made a Broncos blanket for my husband, and it had a big letter D in it, obviously, for the Denver Broncos. And so the letter of the D ended up acting as my border. But I like to do a border on these because I just feel like it makes them look nice and tidy. So I've got my 10 green. And we have to do 129 white. I just finished by doing 130 white and 10 green on my last row when I finished it. So I'm going to start with 10 green and 129 white. So I'm not going to count all these whites. I'm just going to do one less stitch in white than what I did last time. Oh, and then I am working on the wrong side. I can tell it's my wrong side because I have these little pieces of yarn here that are carrying up. And this is about the only yarn I'll carry, is really short carries like that, because I want my stuff to be reversible, as I've mentioned. So, all right, I'm working on the wrong side, which means I need to put my yarn in front of my hook. Move my green over. Put my white in the working basket and go to town. A bajillion stitches. And I'm not sure if anybody in there on YouTube if I'm streaming on YouTube, if you can see me and I'm not chatting with you, I'm really sorry. We're having some chat issues for whatever reason. I don't know what I did, but YouTube has disabled the chat. Keep on working here. I'm missing my friend over in YouTube. Writing is fun, always joins in and chats with me, and now it's lonely. Thank you, Erin, for the heart. I appreciate it. Writing, if you can hear me, I'm sorry and I miss you. More than words can say. We'll have it fixed by tomorrow. I assume. You never know. I don't understand how stuff just randomly stops working for no reason. It's insane. Okay, let's get through these. This will be interesting when we're doing the tapestry live together. It'll be interesting to see if I need to slow down. I do know that I can crochet faster than a lot of people, but it'll be interesting to see hey Angel, if I need to actually slow it down or what. The nice thing is, because I will be streaming simultaneously on YouTube and TikTok, people on TikTok could head over to my YouTube. After a few hours, I think the lives on YouTube, they save, and then you can go back and watch them. So as I go through this pattern, if you miss anything and if you're not grabbing the written instructions and you prefer to go through instructions where somebody just tells you the stitches, which is how I'll be doing that in the live. I'll be saying this many of this color and we'll work on those together. So if you miss anything or you need to catch up, or if I'm just going way too slow, then we'll have you head over to YouTube. But in the meantime, if you want the pattern, it is free. And I keep plugging this, but this is my little snake plant, house plant pattern. The expected size is going to change depending on your size of yarn and size of hook and which type of stitches you do. I will be using a 4.25 hook, which is also, what is that, a G or a 6? A G or a 6 or a 4.25 millimeter. That's the size I'm working with. That's the size of yarn I like. I mean, of needle that I like. That's what's comfortable in my hand. And I'll be using a weight 4 or worsted weight yarn. So it's just a standard, this is your normal yarn, and I will be doing half double crochet. So with all of those things being said, I expect mine to be roughly 2.5 feet wide, maybe 3.5 feet tall. This right here, let's see. This right here is 31 rows, and there's going to be 110 rows in the tapestry that I do. And then I think like 80 stitches is going to be about from my hand to my hand. You can't see it all in the camera, but 80 stitches is really not that wide. I tried to make it accessible. Sandra says, I'll definitely have to review your videos on YouTube. Well, can you half double crochet? Like that's the only, or I mean, I guess you could do a single crochet too if you want it to be smaller. I prefer a half double for these. I feel like it's the most square of all the stitches. To me, single is too wide and short. Double is too long and thin. So for me, a half double ends up being the most square. It's fairly uniformly tall and wide. So, hey, thanks Above the Rainbow. I appreciate it. I'm just working on a custom Yoshi tapestry blanket right now. It doesn't have a ton of color changes because I'm in the bottom portion of it working on, well, I'm over here working on the background, but I'm also working on his little shoes. So, but on May 1st, I will be doing lives, and we're going to be doing this pattern here. So if you like tapestry and you want a free pattern, and you're on TikTok, so you can go over to my bio if you want, and I've got a link in there where you can download the written instructions for these. Hey, Wonder Windifier, that's a cool name. So I got written instructions on these, and I also have the chart or graph instructions. I know a lot of people prefer those too. So I like the written ones, but then I plan while I'm going live to also say, all right, guys, we're gonna do, 64 in this color. That way people can catch up. And Xandra can do, okay, good. So you can do a half double crochet. Do you know how to change colors yet? I've done some demonstrations here. I know there's tons of demonstrations from other creators, but if you're not sure how to do a color change, then let me know. I'm happy to make a specific video. I think that's really the hardest part of this, and then keeping the yarn together. Otherwise, it's just sitting here and counting. And the nice thing with counting these is it's counting the same stitch types. When I'm working on other things like the Floral Fantasia, the giveaway blanket that I'm working on right now, that one, not only am I having to keep track of color, but I'm trying to keep track of count and stitch count. And I have to make sure that the stitches in the round I'm working on line up properly with the stitches below it. So that's the first one I tried to do live, and ooh, that was awful. It was awful because it wasn't like my pattern, so I couldn't holler out what I was doing. I had to be kind of careful with that because I can't show other people's pattern stuff. But that blanket's coming along really well too. I posted a video today, I think, showing I'm on round 23 or 24 maybe, but in real life I'm almost on round 40. I try to crochet ahead in real life so that, because there's certain times that it's going to take me a couple days to get through one of the color changes, and I do a video with every color change. All right, so I got my green and my white. Now I have to do 7 black. Oh, and I'm working on the wrong side, so I need all my yarn ends to face me. Pick up this, we're gonna do 7 black. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I don't have my working yarn in my thing, and I already know that I've made a mistake because now it's pulling yarn from the other guys. Okay, back to normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 7 black. Desert Glaze 2. Desert Glaze is this orange color. Oh no. All right, so here I've found another thing. So I need to pick 2 orange stitches way over here. So I have 2 options. My first option is I can grab my orange yarn. I can bring it all the way over here and just use it and have my stitches. What I'm going to end up with is this piece of yarn that's going to be carried. This is what I am avoiding, but if it doesn't bother you to have a front and a back on your project, then you can carry all day long. It's going to be a lot less yarn to carry than to weave in ends. But for me, I don't want to carry yarn, and there's not enough. I'm only doing 2 stitches in the orange. So if I carry this all the way across, I won't be able to hide it. So I actually need to disengage one of my oranges over here. Where are you, buddy? This is the, and then I'm just gonna chop him off because I know this is, I'm picking up an orange that's connected kind of in the center of this orange piece. And so I know it won't get used again because I've got an orange over here at the beginning of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut him off here. He has to make the sacrifice. And as I've said before, we will leave ourselves a decent tail. I try to do at least 7 inches. And as I point that out, I'm thinking this might be only 6 because it's pretty short. Xandra says, I can do color change. I have troubles with the beginning and end stitches of the row. It's not always obvious to me. Okay, so the cool thing is with tapestry that you will be counting. So you can't, if you mess up on it, you will know before you end up on the row. And when I get to the end of this row, I will try to remember to show you, because I've got to be honest, sometimes the end stitch is not super obvious to me either. And a lot of times I'm actually just working into this chain space that's created from when I did the chain 2 and turn. I can see my stitches up here. I can actually see where it is to work into it, but I like to work into this chain space. I feel it keeps the edges a little bit straighter. So I'll try to show you that when we get up to that. And then if you are struggling with it while we're going through the thing, good thing is that if you get behind, you will be able to catch up easily. Where's that yarn that I just chopped off? There you are. All right. All that for 2 stitches too. It's my favorite part about tapestry. Well, again, if you're doing a tapestry blanket and you're not worried about having the front and back be looking almost exactly the same, then it's really not important that you do what I'm doing, which is not carrying my yarn over. So, okay, so I've just added in an orange, and let me show you. Of course, I'm working with black yarn too, so you can't see the black. But see how huge that stitch is on the orange? And it's huge because this is where I've joined my yarn. When I pull that tighter, I just have to be really careful that I'm not pulling it so tight that I'm making this stitch disappear. Because I just added the yarn, I'm going to go ahead and tie it to another string that's in here. And anytime you're adding a color, you always have the color you just dropped off of. It's always there to tie the new string to. So once I attach it and I do a couple of stitches to kind of secure it in place, then I go back, tighten everything up to make sure that it looks nice, and then I tie it off to secure it. So, all right. Oh, and I only had to do 2. Gosh, so that means I didn't need to finish my second stitch. The last stitch you do when we do color changes, the last stitch, you never finish that stitch all the way. Because I'm doing half double crochet, I will leave the 3 loops on my hook, and instead of yarning over and pulling through like normal with my orange, I'm going to yarn over and pull through with the next color, which is black. Do I have black? I've got black over here. But I need it way over here. Man, sometimes just trying to figure out which stitch. I think I'm gonna pull these out and crochet over this black and carry it over 2 stitches. That should be safe to do. That means I gotta bring my black over here. Come here, I gotta finish these 2 stitches. There we go. 1 and then 2. Okay, so I needed my black to start on the other side of my orange. It was on the right side. I needed it to be on the left side. So I just crocheted over it with my orange just to bring the string where I want it to show up. I just don't want, I didn't want a little 1/2 inch black string running across it if I didn't have to have it. So I didn't. So some of the stuff that I'll be doing is simply because I do want a reversible piece. So, okay, so we got to do 6 black. Hi, Mel. Thank you, Mel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And 1 orange. This is silly. 1 orange, 13 black, 2 orange, 3 black, 3 orange. So this is the fun with tapestry crochet, is making a million balls of yarn just to use for 1 or 2 stitches. All right, so black 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 orange. Put you. Grab my orange, and I'm gonna have to make another ball of yarn in a second. I'm gonna have to make another black here too, aren't I? Yes, I am. Okay. Black 13. You know what? I can probably bring, so I've got some black over here. It's 4 stitches away from where I need to connect it. Rather than cut it off here, reattach here, I am going to, hi Erin, hi Sonia. Rather than cut this black off and reattach it over here, I am going to draw it across, just like that. And now when I crochet, I'm going to crochet my stitches on top of it. So I'm going to bring it across to finish my orange stitch. And then once I've brought it across, it's on here kind of tight. If this wasn't black, it'd be easier to see, of course. Let me see if I can put a white background on here. See, I've got my black string that I've brought across here. So I just give it a little tug after I connect it because I don't want it to be too tight. I don't want to be creating situations where the blanket is going to bunch up or have weird, hard, knobby places. This is a blanket for a special little boy, so I want to make sure that he is comfortable. And look, so I drug the black over, crocheted on top of it, and now you can't even tell that I did that. Hi, Chloe. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need 13. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, above the rainbow, thank you for the heart. I just noticed, did I just notice that? Maybe I thanked you already, but I think that was new. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Sonia, if you're still in here, look, we're working on shoes. So working on the back side. The back side's always the ugliest side. All right, got my 13 black. I need to stop and highlight where I'm at so I don't get lost. Oh my goodness, it's already almost 7:15. Oh my word, okay. I'm supposed to do 2 more orange. Luckily, I do have an orange string over here. Oh, but unlucky. I sacrificed that. That was the sacrificial orange. Darn. Have you guys seen this before, this little trick? I saw this recently. This will probably actually be the last thing I'll show you because I'm getting ready to log off. But when I cake my yarn, like if I have a leftover skein, I'll put it in a cake because I think it looks nice. Look how nice that is. And you can stack them all and store them. I've seen people do this really cool thing where they hang them on like pegboard with hooks. But I also, when I pull my yarn off of the caking spool, I also fold up the skein thingy. See, here's the wrapper. I fold it up and I shove it in there. So that way I always know what color I have. And then I just went and got a little pack of these little clippy barrettes from the Dollar Tree. And I just used that to secure my ends so they're not flying around everywhere. So that's my little trick for those of you who have caked yarn like I do and are sick of strings being everywhere. So I'm just wrapping up and making a little ball of orange for me to use probably tomorrow. I probably won't connect this one tonight. Didn't get through much today. When we start doing this tapestry live, we'll see how long it takes. Although the one I'm working on is 200 stitches across and the tapestry is only 80. So we'll get through a lot more rows. For me, I'm working on the length of the blanket. So typically you would have a blanket that would be taller than it is wide. I've got my picture going sideways. So this is like landscape orientation. So I'm doing 200 stitches across because that's actually the length of the blanket. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining. And if anybody was joining on YouTube, I am so sorry. Again, YouTube Studio is being weird today. It's disabled my chat for some reason, which is crazy, but we are going to, thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the like. We're going to get that fixed. We should be all back on board tomorrow. And one day we should have no problems at all. That's the goal. So it's good to see everybody, and I will see you again tomorrow.